Hello there, and welcome to Empower Your Soul with Nicole. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Helen, who I met at a in-person fundraising mediumship event for breast cancer, and she was one of the lucky audience members that received a reading from her grandmother. And what she stated before we started recording was essentially that she was a skeptic, didn't think this stuff was real until I showed up at that event and I pulled in evidence for her grandmother, and was able to essentially prove to her through evidence that I was able to connect to the other side and this was in fact real. And I loved the beginning of this because she mentioned that there were so many things that I said in that reading that really made her realize it was real, because she walked away not understanding some of it, but her family was able to confirm it later. And I just love that. So Helen has been following me on social media. Thank you so much for her, Helen. And she signed up very quickly for some of these free podcasts that I do, free podcast readings that I do here. So I was so excited to see her again. And I just love that she came in with this list of questions for this soul alignment session. And I had no idea what we were going to talk about. She essentially said, I have questions. And I'm like, okay, well, let Spirit talk about what they want to talk about. And we covered pretty much everything on her list, just naturally through Spirit. And I think she says it very well at the end that Spirit gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want. So I'm so thankful for Helen for allowing me the opportunity to give you this amazing reading today. For all of you listening, this one is so special. It's so special. And I think she's at a crossroads in her career, and Spirit gives some amazing advice on how she can use her intuition instead of her brain, and how to do that practically, not only to make decisions going forward, but also to heal herself going back into her childhood as well. So I hope you enjoy. And if you are interested in signing up for a free reading as well, just head to my website, mediumnicole.com. I release them periodically through my email list. So sign up for the email list for the free readings. And hopefully this will be you on the podcast very soon. All right. Enjoy. Thank you. Hi, Helen. Thank you so much for joining me for your soul alignment session today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm like, and I know we've met before at a fundraising event, and I've chatted with a few of your departed, or at least one of your departed loved one. So I'm really excited to talk soul alignment with you and figure out kind of what's currently going on in your life, and maybe getting some advice and feedback on maybe a couple steps ahead.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And this is a more interactive session, so you are welcome to ask me questions, send me down certain rabbit holes, ask follow-up questions. So don't be afraid to speak up, and that'll do. And then we can start with whatever Spirit wants to start with. And hopefully we cover a few of the topics you already have written down.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So any questions before we get going?
I don't think so. Yeah, we'll see what comes through first, and then, yeah.
Okay. That sounds great. So I'm going to just take a deep breath and ask your team and your Akashic Records guides to step forward, and we'll see who wants to deliver the messages for you today. Okay. So when I start tapping into the other side for you, Helen, all they're showing me right now is this field of flowers. And this just relates to who you are as a soul. And I know that right off the bat, because you are this beautiful, wonderful person that wants the absolute best for everybody. And you leave imprints on people, even if you've only known them for a very small moment of time.
Oh,
Like, you are just this wonderful, amazing, loving, unconditionally loving soul that wants to help people on their journey and be their, not even like be on their best path. It's almost like you want to be that safe space for people to come to, that you kind of give them the love, you give them the support, and then they feel more fulfilled. They feel like they're more in alignment with who they are. And then they kind of go off into the world. So you are just a safe space for so many people. Does that resonate so far?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because it's a little ironic, because you're that safe space for people, but you don't pretend to be the expert. You don't
Oh
pretend
yeah.
to want to solve their problems. Like you just want them to know that you have the confidence in them to move forward or to do what they have to do. You
Yeah.
you are the battery charger is what you are. People come to you to charge their batteries.
Oh, that's yeah. But no, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why they want to start with this field of flowers, because that's who you are for a lot of people. You are the field of flowers that makes
Oh,
them feel grounded, makes them feel more connected, makes them realize who they are and realize the beauty that's in the world and then they can recharge their batteries and move back out. So that's kind of who you are as a soul. And I feel like this
here.
belongs to several different aspects of who you are and what you're here to do. And
Okay.
they're showing me you've been like this since you were little. And I ironically, I do also feel that you attract so many people, and they're giving me this feeling like you have to pick your friends.
Yeah. And yeah. Well, it's funny you say that too, because I almost feel like sometimes, like, you know, those people who kind of go through different friend groups, like, but it's because they can't hold friends. Like, I feel like that, but not because I can't hold friends. It's because I don't, but yeah, like kind of like I have to pick and choose in a way. And then I have so much guilt when I'm not spending time with people that I feel like want to hang out with me more.
and
I don't
and
know if
I'm
that
getting
makes
this, it totally makes sense to me. And I'm just getting like, as you're talking, getting the sense that like you get texts all hours of the day from all these different people and like you can't keep up. And it just feels
sense.
people are always tapping on you and your energy because again, you're their battery charger. You fill them up, you make them feel good. So I can completely understand. And I'm glad you clarified that, because as the information and the energy came in, it made me feel like you rotated through friends, but it was a different feeling, like you didn't belong. It was more like I need to pick and choose because I want to give all of my love, all my energy to the people around me. And I know, and you are so upset at yourself. And you mentioned this, when you can't give 110% to
Yeah,
every single person that's in your life.
I have so much guilt about it. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
a repeating pattern with friendships. Yeah,
But people use you as a crutch
I can see that. Yeah,
all the time. They want you
in
to
a
solve
bad
their
way.
problems. What's that?
Like in a bad way, kind of,
No,
or
I mean, for you, it's fine. For you, it doesn't bother you at all.
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
But for them, they want to use you as a crutch. So people are, and I think this is just the society as a whole. People want somebody who is their cheerleader, someone who fills their cup, someone who believes in them, has faith in them, knows they can do it. And that's who you are. So people feel like I need that dopamine hit from you all the time so that I feel better about myself so that I can go do it.
Yeah.
So for your friend groups and for this feeling of guilt that you have, know that, and it's so funny because I definitely see, I'm sure that you've had other types of readings done too, and all of them point to this, right?
A little, yeah, in a way.
In
Yeah.
a way.
Different
They
messages, the same, yeah, same concept. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they point to your I'm going to say it this way, your elevated status as a soul, as this leader, as this teacher, as this guide, and in a way like you naturally attracting and drawing the people that need your energy, that need your support and need your love. So you are actually meant to be a soul that is supposed to rotate in and out of social groups,
Okay.
that is supposed to push people out when their time is up and there's nothing else that you can do. So I don't want you to feel guilty for this.
Okay.
The function of who you are and what you're here to do is you are here to remind people of who they are so that they can find that courage and strength in themselves. And if you held on to them, they would be using you as a clutch for way too long. So I want you to
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
don't feel guilty. Push people out the nest when they need to be pushed out of the nest.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And
That's
that if you held on to them, you would actually be doing them a disservice because they would hold themselves back
mm-hmm.
their
Okay.
journey. So I want, so first of all, that's what your team wants to talk about is how lovely you are, but it's okay. And don't
Oh,
feel
okay.
guilty for it. And you know, the people that are meant to stay in your life.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah, I feel like
Yep.
that.
So don't feel guilty. Number two that they want to go through with you is you need to stop giving as much as you do, is honestly what I hear them say. So not only are you giving the time to everybody and that energy and that love to everybody, but when you do that, you aren't giving to yourself and you're not filling your own cup, because I feel like there's a huge disconnect between the energy you give people and also the energy. I don't see many of them sending energy back your way. I got to be totally honest with you. They don't give you
No.
back. No.
And it almost doesn't like bother me, but then it's like I know that that's not good for me. Like I don't expect, like I don't send it and expecting them to give it back, but then I do feel drained sometimes when I do that, if that makes
Right.
sense.
It does. So, and not only do they not give back, but you're giving them so much that you don't even have any to give back to you.
That's exactly how I feel. I don't know how to fill my own cup.
Yes. And I can ask that question in a moment, but you need to make sure that you're focusing on filling your own cup. And we can talk about the how, but it's so important to you because you have all of these huge dreams. And it's just so funny because everyone else comes to you for a crutch. You have no one to go to for a crutch.
Yeah, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You and I'm getting this feeling of like it's so funny, surrounded by people, but this isolation feeling of no one's at my level, no one can help me with what I help with. I see that it feels very dark moving ahead of you, especially career wise, and you're like, what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to help? I almost feel like you don't have a lot of people that you can emulate in terms of what you do, and you don't really have a clear path on where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to do with it. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And it's really, I'm going to say ironic for the third time. So that there's something to the word ironic, obviously, the fact that I've said it 3 times. Um, and I'm sure they're going to explain what that one's about. But there's something really unique about that, in that you have all of the skills and tools to do what you want to do. So that's the ironicness, is that you give that to other people, but you don't believe it in yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So there's the irony that they wanted me to get to finally, is that you give it to everybody else, but you don't receive it for yourself. So, and you're a very type A type of person, like in a way that you want to be the center of attention. You know all the, like, you know how to solve problems, and you are very plan oriented, everything very scheduled. Is that correct? Like it just feels like you're very good at planning and knowing, maybe not in this space, but you like to have control over everything.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say, I feel like sometimes it's kind of rooted in anxiety, but like for example,
Mhm.
I have like living circumstances and career changes coming up.
Yep.
And I've almost been like putting it off and kind of feeling like everything needs to be planned. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens?
Yes. So that's where exactly I was going to go right there, is because you feel uncomfortable in this gray space because not everything is crystal clear, not everything is planned out. You don't know the steps from A to Z in order to get there, and you
Yeah.
feel very uncomfortable in this gray space, or this blackness that's ahead of you, because you don't know what the steps are. You can't plan ahead for it. So it's almost like, if I can't see it, I'm not going to move towards that because I don't know if it's good and I don't know if it's bad.
Yeah, that's yep. In
Mhm.
so many aspects of my life, I feel like.
So they're here today to mainly talk about this. And I feel like most of your questions are around this. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Because like I just felt them drop a bomb. Like it be energetically, they're like, this is why we're here. And then if there's anything else you want to talk about besides career or moving ahead, that's okay too. But
I
yeah.
so I have a situation. So right now I live in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
I just finished school. I took my board exam. I wanted to ask them if they could tell me if I passed it or not, because I don't find out for a couple of days. If they can't, that if they can't, it's fine. I get it. Um,
Okay.
but so I have a job opportunity where I could move home in New Hampshire with my parents. I think job wise, it's a really good first step. I don't know like if it's going to be fulfilling to me, like that kind of worries me. I'm worried about moving back with my family and like if that what how that'll kind of impact like sometimes I feel like I need my own space almost, and I worry that moving back home, like I obviously won't have that as much being around family. Um So I'm just wondering if like I just want to know like if that's the right move or the right path for me career wise, and yeah, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yes, it does. So yes, you'll pass the board, I'm hearing in my head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you don't think you did very well though.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I had to retake it. I missed it by a couple points the first time, and I just retook it.
What's the passing score? Because I wrote down 76 in my line.
It's okay. You have to get a 75% to pass. So
So that makes sense. So that's what I'm feeling like. I feel like it's on the line. So it's either, and I'm
okay.
not sure if they're pointing to the past or pointing to the future. I'm hearing you're going to pass it, but again, I feel like it's
Oh,
going to be on the line, which is okay, right? It doesn't matter. It's pass
I
or
hope
fail,
I
right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because you have to get a yeah, it's a 450 out of 600 and I got a 446 the first time.
Okay. So I'm interested. We'll see in a couple days, right?
Yeah.
What that result is. I am feeling so I know that you've done your research in all the different opportunities. And I know that you're specifically asking about moving in with the family in New Hampshire because this seems like the most viable option for you right now. And I know that when we look at the energy of that, it's because you're saving money. It's because, you're in the, but you don't want to be seen obviously as the little girl. You want to be very independent. You want to be
Yeah.
seen as like,
That's my worry.
yeah, I'm no longer your daughter. I'm now like a peer, right? Like it's like this energy that you want to not come around. But obviously the reason that you're asking that is because you've already energetically tapped in. You've already done the analysis to say this is my best path forward. So I'm letting you know that like I'm seeing two thumbs up. I do feel like it's a good path for you for everything that you've stated and everything that you've already analyzed and gone through.
Okay.
And I don't want you to feel stuck there because there's other opportunities you can do when you're there. And I do see, okay. It's not just family though. It's a great opportunity, but it's a small opportunity. Does that make sense? Like there's not a lot of opportunity for growth there.
Yes, it's specifically the career that I think it would be a really I need to work on my confidence and I think that is those that will be a space where I can do that because it's a little more slow paced, smaller
Okay.
company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're going to outgrow it quickly.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a good place for you to start, but there's something it feels very small to me and it feels very um how do I want to say it's not bad. It's just that it's small and you're going to come in and you're never going to be able to like move up. I want to say it that way. Like you come in at a role, you will stay that role. You come in an expertise, you're going to stay that expertise. There's no variation or change in that small space. And I think that you want to grow bigger. And I feel that once you accomplish, this confidence piece that you're talking about, you're going to want more or a
Yeah.
big company and you're going to, and I see you moving into a bigger company. So I
Okay.
do think that this move to New Hampshire would be temporary for you, at least this
Yeah.
location. I don't know if it's family, but I do see that eventually, ironically, and I don't know if this is where your head is going at all, but I do feel you shifting more into a more populated area, like a city almost, and wanting to do what you're doing in a city.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I was
Okay.
considering maybe like Seacoast, like Portsmouth area
Okay.
afterwards. So maybe that's
Okay. Perfect. I mean, that's what it feels like to me. I'm seeing, oh, and I've been there. So I'm seeing brick. Like it was almost giving
right
me,
there. Oh,
um, it was giving me New York vibes, but I don't think it was New
oh,
York.
okay.
But it felt bigger to me. It felt like in a bigger space, in a bigger urban area, because you want that. Like you want the people. There's going to be a point where you're going to want the people around. You're going to feel really comfortable, and you want to really find joy in this stage of your life. And that's what they want to also identify to because you've been want I don't you've been wanting to like be the mom for your entire life. Is that true? Like
Um,
like
uh,
so let me say it differently if you can't take that. It feels like you wanted to move into the beaver cleaver lifestyle. Like you wanted to grow up quick. You wanted to be the adult quick. Like
yeah.
like
Yeah.
and like when I say
Control.
yeah, and I don't know if it's like a mom having kids, but like you wanted to be the one that had everything in control, everything in charge, everything laid out for you, like everything
Make
planned.
my own decisions. Yeah.
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 So your mom must make the decisions. Is that correct?
Yeah. There's a bit of a relationship.
Okay. So maybe that's part of what we need to go through.
Yeah.
But it feels like you want that type of, you've always wanted that. That has like, since you were a little kid, you're like, I want to be the one that's in charge of my life, in charge of everything.
It's
And
funny. I literally remember being a child and being like, why can't I do this? It's not bad. Why can't, like, simple things. And I'm like, okay, when I'm older, I'm going to be able to, I can't wait to move out when I'm 5. Not because I don't want to be around my family, but I'm just like, I don't like not being able to make certain decisions.
yep. Yeah. You want to be responsible for your own life. So what's going to be ironic? Where's the part again? Oh, this is the ironic is the theme. I'm going to say that now, and hopefully they'll make me stop using the same word. It's going to be ironic because you're going to get there and you're going to have all these things. And even if you don't stay with your family, even if you decide to have an apartment nearby or move out or something like that, you're going to have everything that you've always asked for. Check, 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 check. Great salary, good friends, surrounded by family. Like you're going to have you can make your own decisions. You can shoot, you can have cake for dinner if you want. You're going to have it. And it's going to feel like something's missing because you haven't tapped into you and what you actually want.
Yeah, I feel like I need guidance with that. I don't.
Yes. Yes. And I think I want you to know you're not alone. Like there's so many of us who have been taught that the checklist of life and like the quote unquote American dream, we have been taught since we we're little girls that we're supposed to lead this kind of lifestyle. And then when we get there, we find this is not what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I literally have a sign in my house that says, don't grow up, it's a trap. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want you to know that you're not alone in this space, but I do want you to know that living for you does not need to be this big, huge, scary thing that we all are kind of thinking it is, because everything else that we've ever done in our life, it's always been huge. You had to go to school, for years and years and years. You had to build and everything is tons and tons of work to get you to check off each one of these items on the checklist. But finding yourself and tuning into yourself, that's as easy as, what do I feel like doing today?
Yeah.
Where do I feel like going out to eat? Where do I feel when if you go to the gym, like, do I feel like doing cardio or do I feel like lifting weights? And it's just these moments where you tap into yourself and bring it inward and say, what would make me happy right
now? Okay.
And it's learning to separate you and your likes and your desires and your passions from the people around you that are kind of influencing your energy, because they do that too. And then what all of these learned behaviors that you've had since you've been a little girl. So you might have to undo some narratives to say, maybe I don't want to be the battery charger. Maybe that was me being a good girl and feeling like I'm the provider. I'm the mom for people. There it is. I'm the mom for people. I'm the provider for people. I charge people's batteries because that's the role I'm supposed to play as a woman in society. Maybe you realize I don't want to do that. I only want my circle of friends, and I don't want these transient people in my life anymore.
Yeah, the programming's tough because that's exactly how I feel. Like when you said the good girl thing, I feel like I never stepped out of I think I've heard one of my family members kind of say that before, alluding to childhood when I wouldn't really step out of line, just kind of keep the peace, to get where I want to go without making ripples, I guess.
Yes. So that's what I mean when I say bringing it into yourself is just what feels good for you without that programming. And it takes time to kind of learn that and figure that out, but you start small, Helen, and you start small with these small, tiny, inconsequential day-to-day activities. And then you move into, I'm really bored at this firm. I'm really bored at the small farm. I think I've learned everything I want to learn. I don't want to be close to my family anymore. I think I want to move to a city. And you take that urge, that desire, that passion, and you act on it. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So when I'm challenging you to find yourself, take it in everyday small moments. Pick 3 things you're going to do for yourself every day.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to sit and watch trash shows instead of reading a book, right? I'm going to not text my friends back, and instead I'm going to eat a tub of chocolate, right? Probably not the healthiest, but that's what I'm talking about, is find these ways to just make these small, loving giving love to yourself. And that's going to help you kind of uncover what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and rewrite narratives. Be like, no, it doesn't feel good to, I don't know. Be at my beck and call for my mom. Like, it doesn't feel that good. So you know what? I'm going to answer her when I feel the energy too. So it's like things like that. It's just putting some boundaries in place about what you're going to like and what you're not going to like. And this is why I think it's really important that we're having this detailed conversation for you, because your doubts, these doubts that you have, to me, feel like this disconnect of who you are as a soul and what lights you up and what makes you passionate versus what's the expectation that
Yeah,
placed on you.
I don't know how to find, like, I don't know. I don't know how to, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And you have these doubts because inherently in your gut, in your intuition, there's this discomfort, this resistance of, I don't want to make this decision because I know that whatever decision I make on it, I'm going to make the wrong one. So it's learning to trust yourself in the decision. So what's one decision right now that you're hesitating on?
Let me see.
Yeah, what's on your list?
It's almost one kind of has to do with a relationship, so I almost feel like, I don't know, I want to be respectful of their
Okay.
privacy, so maybe.
Okay. We can cover that
Yeah.
one after if you want.
Okay. Another decision that the moving home was one.
Okay. So let's break it down. Let's break down the moving home, right? Because it feels really uncomfortable. That decision feels like financially it makes a lot of sense. Uh good girl syndrome, you're like, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. So there's that dichotomy of, I financially it seems like the right thing to do, but I don't, that's going to put me in a place where I'm not energetically who I want to be anymore. And we already went there, which is great. So what you can do, Helen, is just like, so I'm just going to have us take a couple breaths to kind of just, and we're going to bring in that energy. And I know it feels really uncomfortable to bring in the energy, but I'm going to ask you, let's bring in this decision instead of, because what you've done is you've held it at arm's length and you're like, I'm going to look at it from every angle. I'm going to turn it around like it's a piece of
Yes.
paper. I'm going to write my pros and cons on it. I'm going to look at it everywhere, but you haven't felt it.
Yeah,
So
that's a way to put it.
yeah. So I'm going to ask you just to bring the feeling of what it would feel like to move back in with your parents. How does it
Uh,
feel?
I feel like pros and cons. Again, I feel like it's taken me a long time to kind of come in. I feel like in ways I've come into myself, like in kind of having my own space, living alone.
Yeah.
And then I feel like when I go back there, it's hard. Sometimes I lose myself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's one of my work. I feel that a little bit, but I also feel like I have more tools now to kind of learn how to come
Mm-hmm.
back to myself. So I think I can use that. And I also think like I know they're going to be very loving and supportive of me and like
Yes.
that's what I'm going to need.
So I love that you went through all of those, because all of those are real emotions. Because when I took that piece of paper and I brought it into my heart,
Mhm.
I could feel the love. And I feel like it's with dad. Is it with dad? Like the big love?
Yeah. And
Okay.
my stepmom too. Yeah.
And
And
your
my
stepmom too.
brother.
Cause
Yeah.
I felt I don't know why it was your dad. Like I could feel the dad all over me. So like
I
so I can feel the love, and I can feel that you will actually love living with them.
really? Okay.
I do, because you love them and you love being in their space. Doesn't mean you're not gonna have, but like I could feel the love that's gonna come in. I could
Okay.
also feel like this I'm gonna say, to me it felt like in my shoulder, almost on my left side, like right next to my heart, but it felt like this discomfort again with the boundaries. And am I going to be able to maintain those boundaries? So instead of looking at this on a paper, it's like,
Yeah.
it's how do I feel about it? Okay, so I think energetically it's going to be nice, but I'm going to need to establish my boundaries more. So, and then you can have a conversation with them and say, I would love to move in if they've offered it to you. Here's the thing, I really need boundaries in these areas of my life. Like I need you, let's have this conversation about it before we get there and be like, can I have the because if you can't have a conversation about boundaries before you even move in, you're definitely not going to have them while you're there. So I need to make sure I have a private space. I obviously want to lock on my door. I just want you to know, like, I'm going to come and go. And like, I don't expect you to cook for me. I like, what is it going to, like, am I going to buy my own groceries? Like going through all these different logistical things. And then you feel into each of those. And how does it feel? So how does it feel? I'm gonna challenge you this way. Like let's take it and we'll shift the energy. How does it feel if you're able to maintain your boundaries?
Great. Like good. Good.
So you've essentially said you found and tweaked the energy. So you can feel in your body where the discomfort is. So I feel discomfort in the boundaries and that, okay, so if I can make this my ideal scenario, it feels really good. So now you need to take that because it's you and your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to take that energy, or you need to take that finding that I need good boundaries and I need to talk about that. And you now have to like take that conversation and bring it to them and say, this is where I'm a little uncomfortable. Can we talk about this? How would this go for you?
Yeah.
Because you're not, they might have a whole different set of expectations or boundaries they want to place too. So you need to figure out, is it going to match, right? But that's where the discomfort's going to be. So now you have to have a conversation about it. And then based on that conversation, you're going to feel good about it or you're going to feel bad about it. And you're going to
Yeah.
know what decision to make.
I think it'll go well. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, they're very
Yeah.
generous. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm going to tell you to move through these feelings, these
Okay.
things that pop up, feel into it and feel where the discomfort is, and where there is discomfort, where there is that resistance, that's where you need to like really go in, because it's either you in this false narrative you have with yourself, or it's something about the situation that you're going to need to resolve. So the discomfort is just an indicator to go deeper.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's the wrong decision. Discomfort doesn't mean it's wrong, but it just means take a closer look.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that does.
so I feel like with all of your questions, you just need to learn to like trust yourself, like
Yeah.
bring
Okay.
energy in. Where does it feel good? Break it apart. Where does it feel good? Where is this discomfort? Is this discomfort me and these narratives I need to write about myself, or is it a relationship with somebody else and then I need to have a conversation about it?
Okay.
Yeah. But like based on, let me see where they want to go after that. And that's why they're highlighting you have all the answers already in you. And it's just in it. But here's the problem. You've been using your head. You've been using your logic for everything, and you haven't felt it, and you haven't used your intuition and let your intuition out. And the intuition, even in corporate society, they tell you not to, like, I come from a job where they say you
Yeah,
can't
that's right.
trust your gut. You need to use data to make decisions. Like, well, it's literally the job that I have taught people for 20 years, right? Like you
Mhm.
have to use data to make decisions, but that is taking away our essence as a woman and our natural intuition that we have, which is never wrong.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's funny you say that because like I have made decisions based on intuition before. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna trust it. It always works out.
always works out. Always works out.
Yeah.
So when you can't, I mean, I'm going to say you should always use your intuition to help decision making. But if you can't come to a logical, data driven decision, always use your gut.
Okay.
Always
That
use
makes
your instinct, your intuition. Okay.
okay.
Let me see if there's anything else.
I'm curious.
Mhm.
Sorry, let them if they have stuff.
No, I just get this general sense of nervousness with you about everything,
Yeah.
literally everything. And I just want you to know, how do we release that for you?
It's that it's so it yeah, it's with everything.
It's everything. And it's this nervousness that things are going to go bad. The rug's going to pull out from under you. That like you said the wrong thing to people. Like I see you scrolling way late at night because of your anxiety and it just doesn't, you're like doom scrolling every single night.
Yes. I did TikTok. I keep having to delete it and then I re-download it.
And it's, so let me ask what the root cause of the anxiety
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you. And I'm going to ask them to show me another thing, but they are indicating that disconnect between your head and your heart does contribute to that, because the anxiety is this internal feeling in you. And you know, from a data perspective, there's nothing that you necessarily need to be anxious about. You have decisions that you need to make, but the anxiety doesn't feel like, based on the present moment where you're having the anxiety, there doesn't seem to be anything that's actively triggering you in those moments. It's always
Yeah.
back looking forward, nothing in the present moment. So,
Yes.
so when you're in the present moment and you're feeling that anxiety, a tool that is really easy to use is tap into your five senses. Name three things you see, name three things you hear, name three things you feel. And that brings you back into the present moment, gets rid of that fight or flight response. But I have to say, a lot of that internal angst to me does feel like that disconnect between your head and, I'm going to say, your intuition or your heart, because you are living two different lives. You're like, your body is feeling one thing, and then you're doing different things. So when you start integrating those, the anxiety will decrease more, and you're going to feel, not only you're going to know it's the right decision, you're going to feel it's the right decision. And that naturally is going to help reduce some of the anxiety that you're feeling. Not all of it, but I'm going to say it's like 25-30% is what it feels like to me.
Did they say anything else too was causing it at all, or just mainly the?
Let me check. Yeah, because that feels like it's a portion of it. It's not all of it. So let me ask them to clarify the rest of it. In terms of the other anxiety, it honestly feels like this stems from a lack of control and wanting to control everything that you can. And I feel like this comes from, you already alluded to it, and I love that you already did, but like comes from your childhood and not being able to control everything. And so when you're 7, does something really big happen? Like, do your parents get divorced, or like, it feels like you're this very young age. And I am seeing 7. So I don't know if it's 7 years old or 7th grade. But
Seventh grade was horrible. Like,
okay.
My parents were divorced in 5th grade. I think I kind of picked up on things in elementary school, but like I feel like 7th grade was when like life got heavy.
Okay. And you can't control anything, and everything happens to you.
Yeah.
They're making me feel like something's in my hands. I'm not sure what this is. And you take on the weight of everything that happens to you. And everything that happens to you, it feels like it's my fault. I did it. It's because of things I did. And then you start tracing back, well, could I have done it differently? If I did this differently, would the outcome be different? Right. And now you're living in this perpetual state of, if I make the wrong decision now, my whole entire future is fucked.
Yeah. That's not how it, yeah. That makes sense.
So it feels like, and I want you to sit with the energy of this, and this will be homework for you, is whatever happened to you in 7th grade, like, I'm getting this feeling of write it down. And I don't know why I want to say to write it down, like, write down all the horrible things that happened to you. How did it make you feel? Like, just get it all down on paper, and then start looking at all of these things in 7th grade that didn't go great and how that made you feel. And think about it now that you are this, adult woman, educated, have a ton of perspective and experience behind you. And how does that make you feel now? Could you have controlled it? Could you have changed the outcomes? Or were they just like assholes?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
And start, like, instead of feeling like you're the victim and that you couldn't control things, think about I want you to find the silver linings in it. What did that produce in you? How does it make you a better person? how has it taught you to avoid certain types of people?
Hmm.
And just think about, try to look at it from a few different angles like you did with the moving, and see if you can write a different narrative about that event, because it changed you, and I'm hearing you say not in a good way, and I want to challenge that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yep.
Yeah, because I kind of feel, yeah, I like the perspective I have today, and the person I am. Like, I wouldn't, if those things didn't happen, I wouldn't have that perspective now.
Right. And I want you to look at the worst time in your life, if it's seventh grade or if it's another time, the worst time in your life. And if you, as an adult, can take that different perspective and realize that you did the best you could, and like reparent that little child,
Right.
reparent it and say, I did the best I could. Everything still worked out great, even
Hmm.
though I went through all of that. And just changing that narrative for yourself, that you're the victim, and changing it as, I'm the victor. Took I took the horribleness. I did what I could. It's where I am today, and realize that one decision or one event does not necessarily write the entire future, because at any point in the future you can change, and you can release control, and you can let that go now, because you know more. Like, so it's, let me see if they can bring it together in like a nice cohesive sentence, because they're showing me everything really fast. Rewrite the narrative that you're no longer the victim and that you are in control. And if you
Hmm.
could heal from that darkest part of your life, then, and that's the worst it's ever been, you know that it will never be that way again. And you'll be
Okay.
able to take that different perspective and realize that you're like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I came out of the worst part of my life, and now I'm able to succeed and thrive and be exactly who I want to be, and do exactly what I want to do. And I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm financially free, and that nothing can stop me. And that's not who I am anymore.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
just turn it around. But I like, it's not a big, this is gonna I don't want to minimize, because I don't know
No.
you. I don't know everything that you've gone through. But for you, I feel like it is all surface level, and it should be easy for you to rewrite these narratives and feel a
Okay.
lot better and reduce the anxiety as a result of that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think sometimes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And I do want to say that you are capable of everything. So, and I want you to know that you are a mirror, or sorry, other people are a mirror for you. So when you're
Yeah.
telling somebody you're unstoppable, you can do anything you want, you're super smart, you're
Mhm.
brave, you're going to get through this, know that they're a mirror for you. You're saying that to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. You wouldn't say it if you didn't believe it. And like that energy
I
comes from
Yeah, like I
you.
honestly do. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, um, and in society, I think the last thing I want to mention is, in society, we're taught that being the strong, independent, brave women that are resilient through everything, that's not our story. Like, we are not even supposed to be strong, like in our
Yeah.
society. Like, we are trained to be meek and pregnant in the kitchen, and, good cooks. And I need to solve all the problems, and I need to be the relationship person, and I have to be nice, and I have to be kind. And nowhere does it say in our society that women are strong. Nowhere does it say that um like, even old goddesses, like we don't have like a goddess that we look up to, right? Like, we're
Mhm.
trained Catholic faith, and Jesus looks like a man, and God looks like a man, and everybody's men, and the men are strong, and the men are
It's so
powerful,
true.
right?
Yep.
And we are literally actively having our rights taken away as women in this country.
Yeah.
Now is the time for you to own your shit. Now is the time for you to be like, I don't need to believe in these narratives that have been placed on me personally and been placed on me societally. And you get to stand up and choose to be whoever you want to be.
Okay.
No one can take that away from you.
Thank you. Oh, that's so helpful.
so,
Ugh.
so I don't have a ton of homework for you. I think you need to sit in this energy. I do think you need to, and you can do it one by one. You can take seventh grade, write it down, look at it from your adult perspective, and kind of like give yourself the love that you needed at that time. You can do that with any other events. And I want you, with small decisions in your day-to-day life, just taking that moment and being like, how
Mhm.
do I feel? What is my body? What does my intuition say I should do as a decision? And the more that you kind of lean into this stuff, the more you're going to feel confident in the road ahead and what you
Okay.
have to do. And I don't feel the need to tell you what's coming and what's going to like be this solving this black hole for you, because I know that you're going to be able to solve it all yourself. And I know
Okay.
that you are going to get exactly what you're asking for. Like you're going to receive awesome things in your life. And the more that you work with your intuition and the more that you're doing things that fill your cup, that light up your soul, that fill your passion, that make you feel good inside, the more that you're going to attract things and
Mhm.
people in your life that meet that level of you instead of the level that you were. So the more that you're living that more aligned life, the more that you're going to attract things that are meant to attract you and kind of
That makes
keep
a lot of sense. Yep.
making it go up. So I know that your team absolutely loves and adores you. I know that they're watching out for you and looking out for you.
I actually had a dream about a couple guides last night.
Of course you did.
They I know, I think I've heard you say that they don't think names are important, their names. I'm curious if they
Ooh. Ooh,
if my dream.
let me ask about your guides. Hang on one second. I mean, I'm seeing three,
Okay,
and
there's 3 guides.
I do see three guides. You have more. Like, I think there's actually five that joined us today, but I see three step forward. And they're just cracking me up in my head. So they're funny guides. They're hilarious. Let me see if I can tap into, because I was like way up here. So let me just lower my energy a little bit to tap into their
Mhm.
specific energy. All right. So one's like a woman. She's very angelic. She's got a light blue color associated with her.
Okay,
I don't Andrea. I'm hearing the name Andrea.
okay, Andrea.
Um, and she's your rock. Like she's your battery charger when you need to have your batteries. Like she's the one that helps you charge it. Like her energies just feels solid. It feels like it's endless energy. I know that all spirit is endless energy, but like there's something about her. She feels like solid, and she feels like someone that knows her direction, knows what she just knows things, and she's so solid in who she is and what she's like here to do. She's not the kind of person that's going to give you answers. She's gonna be what you are to other people. She's gonna bounce your ideas back on
Mhm.
you and make sure that you have the confidence to make your decision. But what she does, she doesn't just bounce it back. She's not a pure mirror. She will make you think about things in slightly different ways and change your perspective slightly to give you
Okay.
the what you need out of it. The second one is a male, and he looks more Egyptian, like Egyptian Roman. What are you? It's very unclear, but I definitely see him wearing sandals and like a white robe, and he
Okay.
feels more of ancient, like ancient time frame. And he's here to remind you that you have all the tools inside you to handle it. And honestly, I I see him with knives, and I see him with like a whole bunch of these weapons all around him, but he never uses them. And he doesn't use them because he knows how to deal with people and like not manipulate in a bad way, but like he knows how to navigate people
Yeah.
and use his words and use his brain to understand human perspective, and he can do things or say things in a way that gets him the outcome that he wants.
Mhm.
Okay. Feel like this is important for your career.
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
So I know that he's like a master negotiator kind of sort of, but also he's just somebody who has the tools ready but doesn't, or has the weapons, not tools, has the weapons ready but doesn't need to use them. And I want you
Mhm.
to think about yourself that way. If something happens, like someone crosses your boundary, you have tools
Yeah.
will allow you to fix it, but I can handle it. And I can handle whatever they're throwing that way, my way. And if I can't handle it, I have backup. So I want you to think about life that way.
Okay.
Um, I don't know what that name is. ELOD. Eloda, E-E-L. I don't know if this is a real name, but I'm seeing an Eloida, Elodia.
Oh, okay.
Um, that's what I'm seeing. That's him. All right. And the last one is a wise old man.
I had in my dream it was two men and a woman. The different
Okay.
names, but I'm like, that's so funny.
Oh, this one is a wise old man. And
And one of them was older, and one of them was like younger, brown, like brown hair, kind of like the one you just described. But
yeah, he's younger. Like I see him middle aged. I see him with the one we just described, like big chest. Like he
Mhm.
just is like he looks gladiator-esque to me, but I can't place it. It's definitely like the Mediterranean area, is it? I'm not sure if it's not sure where. But the wise old man, he shapeshifts. He looks different. Like I see him changing his outfit and looking very different for me. So I think he's going to show up in whatever way you need to in that moment. But he's here to remind you how versatile you are. And that's the shape shifting I'm seeing, the versatility
Okay.
and being able to adjust and change and not having to have this very stagnant solid path, and you can be who you want to be and you can change into who you want to change to. And it's reminding you that life is very fluid. As we learn things, we're going to change perspectives and we might change our direction, and that's okay. And we don't need to pick one direction and stay with it. Like, and I think that's what he's here to remind you of, is being fluid, receiving new information and just going with the flow. And part of that flow is making sure that you have time for fun too, right? Like part of that flow. So making sure that you are building time for the fun, for the fluidity. And you, when I say fun, you like the subtleness. Like I just feel very like subtle jokes. Like I just feel like you really like nuanced things instead of like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay. Because I feel like you'd much rather like have a night with the girls in like a really relaxed location and not necessarily go right and
Oh,
like
absolutely.
right
Yeah, so much rather that. Yeah.
and like do it your way in a way that makes fun for you. So I'm definitely seeing that old man. And he's, oh, I love, he's still shape shifting on me. He's still just changing his looks, changing his outfit. Like I wanted to say he looked like an old Socrates guy, but then I see him in like the 40s with like a hat on and he's got like a suit,
Uh-huh.
like, and he's just, he is who he is, and know that there's that many different facets of you as well. And
Okay.
that's okay. Yeah. And
Yeah,
honestly,
thank you.
love every single one of them. You're so welcome. Well, let me ask him what his, if he has a name. Um, to be honest, I'm
That's fine
hearing
if
it, but
not.
it's not a human name. It's
Yeah, that's it.
it sounds like a note, and like, and that's it sounds like a frequent vibration frequency, and it feels like, do you do you feel it in your heart right now? Does your heart or your chest feel fuzzy right now? If you don't, that's okay.
Um, yeah, I would say like my heart probably.
Yeah, because that's what like I'm feeling that. Like that he doesn't want to give me a name, he wants to give me a feeling. So that like it feels like my heart's almost on fire and it feels like warm. So that's what he's giving me. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
This was
Gosh.
I'm so excited for you, and I'm sure you'll be checking in to see how it all goes. But yeah, keep me on it. I'm wondering about the board too. So
Oh, I'll let you know what the score is. Yeah, definitely.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Helen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Sending you all the love, girl.
All right, so just debriefing after the soul alignment session with Nicole, I just feel a lot more clear moving forward. I have a lot of decisions that I have to make coming up, and she really helped me with learning how to like tap into my tuition and my knowing to move forward. And I'm really grateful for that, and I feel like I'm on a better path now because of that.